Hello YouTube, Elite Legionario here, bringing you a 2v2 for Rome 2 Total War. Again, I'm with the SwedishLandsknekt. He commands the Seleucid Empire, or the Seleucid Empire, depending on your pronunciation. I command Epirus, which is one of my favourites. Our opponents are the Massagetae and Sparta. So my build is very cav heavy. I like quite cav heavy builds, and Epirus has got good cav. I've got Hellenic raw cav, I've got 4 of those, and I have 4 Aspis companion cav, and I also like those. I have, 4 Cretan archers, and then 4 Theros spears, I think. There's 5 Theros spears. Because you can of course take formation attack on and off now, spear units like Theros spears and stuff like that are really quite effective now. They'll be good against the Massagetae, Cataphracts. So I built my army to counter the Massagetae player, as I knew that Swedes could probably easily take on the Spartan player. So his army is, let's see, he's got Eastern Slingers, he's got I think 5 Eastern Slingers, and I thought he was going to have pikemen. Oh, he does have pikemen, sorry, my bad. He has 5 Thorax pikemen, so they should be decent enough to work well against the Spartan if he uses cav to support. 4 units of Hellenic Cataphracts and 2 Azat Knights, so it's a good army, and he's got 3 camels. I suggested he bring camels because even if you just put 1 camel, like for instance if you have 4 Sparta Cataphracts versus 4 Hellenic Cataphracts, the Sparta Cataphracts will destroy the Hellenic Cataphracts. But if you put 1 camel into the fight, in a melee fight, suddenly you'll find that the Hellenic Cataphracts will quite decisively defeat the Sparta Cataphracts. The effect of camels, so that's what I often suggest you bring them for. He did just lose one of them though too, that steep armoured lancer there. So the Massagetae player has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I think it's 7, is that 7? Yeah, that's 7 Sparta Cataphract horse archers, 1 steep armoured lancer, and I believe it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Sparta Cataphracts altogether. And the Spartan player, who somehow has traps, I don't understand why this happens. I keep saying it, but every time me and the Swedes play these 2v2s for Rome 2, for some reason our opponents often bring traps, but we don't even have any option to select any, so I don't know why that is. It's a bit annoying. I mean, it's not that I really desperately want to use traps, I just don't like the idea that I can't use them, but my opponents can. It doesn't seem fair. But it's not really a big deal, but it's just something that I've noticed. Not that it really matters, because I find that players who use traps you can easily exploit their traps to your own advantages and ends, which we quite often do. So the Spartan player has, let's see, Spartan Hoplite, got 3 there. He's got more Spartan Hoplites than the Spartan Pikemen, Spartan Hoplites, Pikemen, Royal Spartans, Spartan Pikemen, just a mixture of Spartan Pikemen, Spartan Hoplites and Royal Spartans, basically with a few traps. And if he's expecting us to just go straight into him, then he's dreaming, because we're not going to do that. What we'll do is we'll concentrate our strike force and simply go around him, or knock out the Massagetae player, because this Spartan player, you can tell his build and his traps and everything, there's little staying up on there in the hills, just he wants to stay completely defensive and make us, or at least hope we'll go straight forward into him. Instead, what we'll do is we'll just tactically outmaneuver him, go from the sides, and amass on the Massagetae player if the Spartan player does not help him. So basically, kind of like mass concentrate forces on one part of the area, kind of like at the Battle of Seleucids. So I'm just going to move up here, get my Cretans into range. I love Cretan archers as of patch 7. Patch 7 I don't love everything about it, but I do love the archers about it. They are so much better than they were in previous patches. And the Cretan archers are fantastic on patch 7 because they've got all the trappings of heavy shot and whistling shot and flaming arrows and all that, and 150 range, and still have that same high damage level they used to have. So they're great, which is good because they should be great. So anyway, so we're going to move a lot of our cav off to the left here. I'll put my Hellenic Royal Cav on this side because they are good shot cav, and we're trying to concentrate a lot of shock power onto one side just to get really great charges to knock out these Cataphracts. which, you know, shouldn't rout very quickly, but because it's cataphracts, but this many cav against them should be alright. Because, I mean, you remember these Hellenic cataphracts are not quite as good, but they're close, plus with camels in to help, which will cause a bit much more panic amongst his cavalry, should rout them quicker, plus with my cav, it should give us the advantage. And because you can just tell that this Spartan player is just going to be real static and not going to move very much. Okay, let's just see. So we're just going to preparing and setting up for our charge. And I've got my Aspis cav ready to help if need be. And it seems I have 5 of them. I said I have 4, but apparently I have 5. This is a fantastic melee cavalry unit. Absolutely awesome melee cavalry. And of course he's got 2 Azart Knights as well, and that's an awesome melee cavalry unit as well. So we've got some very good cavalry on our side, put it that way. So the Massagetae player, although they've got the best cav in the game, of course, he's still pretty outmatched probably in the cavalry department, just because we've got cav that's nearly as good and quite a lot more of it. Whereas basically what's going to be the problem for them is, I do apologise about those black markers, I don't know why they still happen, I do apologise profusely, guys, but basically you can just tell with players when they do these defences, they want to use them against you, and you can just, you know, and a player who uses these traps and sets up, you know they want to play this defensive game where you're going to go all through their traps and stuff, so, you know, you look for ways to move around the traps, move around the flanks and stuff, and you can really dismantle their strategy. So, you know, there's no real reason why you need to, you know, play what they want you to do, you know. Take the initiative and control the fight yourself, basically. You know, certain players who know what they're doing will make that very hard for you, but nothing against a Spartan player or anything. But as you can see, look, he just rallied all his troops and stuff, I think. Oh no, he just activated Steady. Not much point in that, because Steady does actually steadily tire your troops, if I remember correctly. So not really much point in that when we're nowhere near him. So not really a big deal about that. Okay, let's have a look. So we're just sort of moving up here. I might just go to a little bit faster pace here until we begin, because I know we begin here soon. I'm sure we do. Okay, we'll begin. So I'm just moving up to skirmish him a bit, actually. So let's perhaps get some close-ups of that. So putting some shots down there, down range. Here we go, a few coming in too, though. The Cretians are fantastic. I'm using concentration fire because those cataphracts, horse archers will be pretty strong. And I'm trying to concentrate on, I can't use the scribble tools, but basically same as Swedes, we're concentrating on the convergence areas. This is what you've got to be careful when using Cantabrian Circle, is that your guys are spaced out enough that they're not converging, because when they're converging they've got a lot of numbers massed up and it slows the pace of things down. So as you can see, a lot of them here are very clustered, so they make very easy hits. As you can see, a lot of arrows are indeed hitting there. They're very well armoured though, so they won't be easily stopped. So that's the point there. However, they probably will, even though they probably will still try and shoot all over the place, which is kind of annoying. I wish they'd concentrate their fire in this area. That's what I'd like them to do. But you can't really do much. So what I was doing was trying to hit that unit, so that when they come around here, they'd like intersect with the other unit. So it is working, because you can see there are cataphract horse archers there dying. I have to be kind of careful though, because I don't have a lot of ammunition. It's the one drawback for Cretan archers, or most archers in general, is they don't have nearly as much ammunition as slingers, but I like that because it balances them out well. I think that's appropriate. So at last we begin our cavalry movement. I'm going to force them back here. I'm going to try and save heavy shot for some of these Spartan pikemen and other heavy infantry units over there, if I can, for my Cretans. So we're making a hard push now with our cav. So with Swedes general up front leading the strike. There he is there in the grey, with the grey cape there with the shield. As you can see here, the general unit will be in the middle and will have a shield amongst other shot cav, of course, that don't have shields, but the general unit will. Now he is going to be going uphill, which is slightly disadvantaged for him, but he should be okay, judged upon that. However, he gets a bit bad charge there, I guess, because the Seleucids got a much better charge, which isn't good for him. However, he's doing pretty good there. His camels will be behind. I'm right behind him now. I'm going to try and slip around behind him here, and I'll send my own general to come in and assist over here, because these Saka cataphracts are winning, of course. They've got a better charge. He does rally his own guys here, and he still will be in the fight for a long time, of course, as you know. So there's some good good, bit of a charge there that should help him. And of course I'm going around him here with my guys. We're going to be pushing up. I sent 2 of my Aspis Cav to help because I saw that all the Cav fight was going to be over here, and of course Aspis Cav are good in the grind. So over here we do manage to rout. He does manage to rout one of these Sarka cataphracts, and over here we've got a lot more numbers of Cav down and camels in the fight. As you can see, they have the detriment. If you can read it down there, shake and frighten horses, and that really helps slightly disadvantaged Cav beat Cav that's normally stronger than when you toss the camel in. Helps a lot. So over here, I attempt to get rid of some of these horse archers because they're a nuisance. He's going to toss them into the fight, and it should do quite a bit of damage to them, to be honest. Although my Hellenic Cav are not going to do great. Over here we just completely bust straight through these Sarka cataphracts. And he's still got good numbers, his Cav, and my Cav's still in pretty decent numbers. And I've still got reserves, and I've still got 3 more I've left in reserve over here as well. So we're just going to try and bust straight through this far left side of the Massagetae player and just get around behind the Spartan player. As you can see, we're massing numbers here, and his guys, these Sarka Lancers are still doing a lot of damage. Of course, they're being the best Cav in the game at the moment, and I probably suspect they'll stay that way for quite some time. And this is some fantastic unit added later on, but we just got more numbers in the vicinity, and of course we've got camels, which of course is panicking them. Our generals are right there helping. I think his general got killed, or his general's not near. His general's not near the location, which gives us a bit of an advantage. But here we're going to come down on these horse archers now. So, see the Spartan player, he's just not really engaging to help him at all. He just wanted to do his defense. So you can always sort of predict quite often when players are going to do this, because you just always get that feeling. You always know when it's going to happen. So we charge in here, and as you can see, this unit just immediately routes, and then the whole lot are going to start routing immediately. Camels are right in there, and it's panicking the crap out of them. So that's really helpful to have camels in there, because they just make units rout, enemy cavalry units rout so much quicker, particularly much stronger ones. So if you're having struggles against cav that are stronger than you, toss a camel into the fight. And you're better to take a missile cav, because you can still use the missile cav to harass units as well. So you get more bang for your buck, basically. So definitely use that. So I'm using concentrated heavy shot now onto these Spartan pikemen, so I'll start withering them down quite badly, which is always a good thing. As you can see, so the Massagetae player, his general's now in the fight, but he's completely encircled, and he's not really going to get out of this with anything that resembles his life. So one of us rallied our troops there because it affects both of us. I believe it might have been me. Actually, no, it might have been him. I'm not sure. Hard to say. I think it was him actually, but we can both rally each other's troops when you're close. I really like that feature. So here he moves some of his guys back. That unit's down to 51, so I got a lot of damage down. Concentrating side fire on the Spartan hoplite here. However, I won't do as well against these Spartan hoplites because they've got a much bigger shield and more armour. However, I'll still do plenty of damage there. I don't know why that was kind of chopping out the sound there. So there you go. As you can see, we easily destroy the Massagetae player simply because he's left to deal with it on his own. Now the Spartan player's made a mistake. He's created this big gap in his line, so we'll exploit that when possible. I was tempted to send my other reserve cav units in, but although I sent 2 of them around here. I still have a reserve one here though. So we'll just go around behind him. And just bring up our infantry here and try and do whatever damage you can. So I was planning on using my Epirus spears to actually help the cav fight, but I really didn't need to, so now I can use them to at least stall these Spartan infantry. Now obviously they won't beat them, but they'll be able to stall them for our cavalry to come around and assault them. So we're going to concentrate a lot of our force on this area, see if we can break up more of his defense, which is what he'll be forced to do. So just steadily sort of thinning out some units. This unit's got lost about 40 men, just taking time thinning out several units at once, trying to aim for these kind of units over here that are further away, but it will be somewhat more difficult because they're more armoured. So Swedes goes into phalanx, and he will start advancing soon. So as you can see, the gap that becomes available, I'm going to use it to come around and exploit this as best as I can. As you can see, we're concentrating fire where possible. Interestingly, I don't recall this happening, but apparently it did. My guys charged into the side of this unit. Whoa, they just went straight through it. That's strange. Never recall that happening. Maybe that's a bit of a fault with the replay because it looked like they just sort of travelled straight through them as if they weren't there. So I get into his horse archers here, and we're going to get rid of those because they're a nuisance. As you can see, his infantry's getting taking some pretty bad damage to these phalanxes of Swedes. Although they're still doing quite well actually, probably because it's just more of them in the vicinity, but they should lose, I suspect, simply because long pikes beat hoplites. So yeah, he's losing that, so it's good. So all my cav now, I'm shifting them right up behind the Spartan player because you can see he's disengaging. I was a wee bit worried he might make a new box, which would be a bit of a nuisance. I was a wee bit worried about that because I'm getting close to running out of arrows. However, I'm again using concentration fire. However, I'm going from the front here, so I'm not going to do as much damage, obviously. But as you can see, we've outflanked the Spartan player. He's lost pretty much all his units in this vicinity. So now he's just got these units here. And Swedes has still got good numbers of infantry, so if we concentrate on one area of the formation, he'll probably end up breaking other parts of his formation up to try and support it. And I still have some of my Thuros spears at this stage, and I'm pretty sure he breaks away troops to come after my Thuros spears, which just makes him weaker up the top. So that's not really any good to him. So I'm about to run out of arrows, if I remember. My Cretians are getting close to running out of arrows, but they've got good numbers of kills already, which is great. So it's so much fun using Cretians. I always have so much success with them. As you can see, they're doing very well, withering them down, and of course these slingers are coming in now. So he's gone to make the box, but it shouldn't matter because we'll just concentrate forces in the right appropriate areas. So I put our cav behind. I've still got good numbers of cav myself. And fairly decent numbers anyway. Swedes cav has done very well. Lots of kills. Indeed, lots of kills. Yeah, concentration fire. He's got his slings right there. Concentrating fire where possible. So the Spartan player kind of not really sure what happened there. Was just reforming his lines, I guess. But they're taking quite a lot of damage. But they should do quite well, simply based on the amount their shield and the amount of armour that the Spartan hoplite possess. You know, again, I always feel like when people use Spartans and they just put them on a hill or put them in a corner and stuff, I think, alright, I'm a Spartan, I'm invincible. You know, it was like that in Rome Total War. It's like this and this, and then they just tactics just steadily destroy them. So, you know, I don't know, I do get a little tired of that with Spartan players because I can just tell it's what they're thinking, that Spartans are absolutely indestructible because of that movie 300 and stuff like that, and it is a bit, you know, silly. So here he breaks off his formation to come after me, which wasn't what I was actually expecting, to be honest. And I will get pretty thrashed by this. However, you see another telltale sign these are pretty inexperienced players. He puts all three onto this area. And so he can be in turn steadily encircled, which is basically what I'm going to do, but it won't really matter anyway because my guys are so very outclassed by these Spartans. It's not what they're meant to fight. So I put my guys here, so I'm going to slip them down for cav charges later. As you can see, yeah, my Thuros spears are getting pretty hammered, just because they're not designed to handle this kind of fight. But he, you know, if I'd had slightly stronger infantry, he would have been in much more trouble. And I have to outflank him anyway, so I do get a few guys into the back of his formation, which isn't good for him, but he's able to turn around anyway. When my Thuros spears have got more of an encirclement thing going, it's pretty good for them. And at this stage I can bring in my Aspis cav to get a charge. However, they're not good charging cav, of course, but they should be okay in a, you know, grinding fight. And of course they throw javelins when they go into a fight. So there's that charge there, and they should start to somewhat turn the fight. Over here, as you can see, he's kind of just amassing numbers on one point there, but he's not taking into account that he can be so easily outflanked. So he goes out to my Cretians here, and that's all good and fine for him, but that's just wasting, and you know, he's dispersing his power over every little area and making it that much harder for himself. So, I mean, nothing against this guy, but he just has the telltale signs of an inexperienced player. So, you know, you should never do this stuff. He's got a few over here, he's got some here, he's got some here, he's got some out here, he's got some there. You don't want to do that because it just means they can be singled out and picked apart, which is exactly what we do. So we just come down on top of these guys from uphill, good charges onto them, their cav, encircle. As you can see, they're completely encircled here. The morale is pretty bad, and they should start to break fairly soon. I rally my guys. You can see one of these Spartan hoplites is going to go, and more will go very soon. And some of my guys will take a bit of a bashing because they are cav against spears, but they're getting encircled and everything. Bringing in more over here. Over here, my Thuros spears are doing a decent enough job of holding them up, as was not really their intended goal, but they can still achieve that. Well, I use some of my cav here to get some hammer and anvil strikes, although Aspis cav is not really particularly designed this way, but it will be sufficient for what I need it to do. So as you can see, these surrounded Spartans are dying pretty badly. Cav is getting quite a bit of kills. And yeah, basically what he's done is he's just completely, he would have lost, but he's completely diminished his chances of success here because he's just concentrated all his forces in all sorts of areas instead of spread them all out into areas all around the map where he should have used to mass them on certain areas and things like that. So as you can see, his Spartans are losing fights they should otherwise be able to win. So they're pretty hardy though. Spartans are hardy troops. They've got good morale. That's the thing with Spartan troops, and they'll take a long time to break simply because of that. But they're not the best troops in the game. People have got this misconception about this ever since that movie 300. They always think Spartans are invincible. Spartans are awesome. They are badasses. They look awesome, but they've had their heyday. That's long time. This game's not set in Sparta's greatest period. So. In fact, Sparta was pretty much just a small little city-state that was falling into massive decline by this stage. But the point is, so many players think you can use the Spartans and they'll win just because Spartans are epic. And Spartans are strong and they've got great morale, but there are a lot of better quality units out there. Anyway, it says it's a costly victory. To be honest, I don't really know why it says it's a costly victory where you had pretty good numbers left, really. Is it going to show the statistics? Yes, it does show the statistics. So there you go. I get 927 kills, but good numbers there. SwedishLandsknekt with 1,188. My cav didn't do greatly in this fight. Massagetae did do a lot of damage, but they did a good supporting role. My my archers are pretty good. And as you can see, these Thuros spears actually did not too bad considering their opposition. Spartan player did quite well just because he basically got a lot of men fighting some pretty rubbish units like my they're fighting much weaker units, what I was suggesting there. But ultimately he spread his forces out all over the place and didn't do that great as a result. But anyway, good game to the Bronco Juniors 90 and Connector or something like that, and of course SwedishLandsknekt. And I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon next time.